Hello and welcome to another SouthernAirs video with me, Matt BanjoMan Walker.
Me, Tyler, JettForceOne McDowell.
And me, Susanna the Mushroom Hunter Battler. Today we are visiting the Solent Sky Museum in Southampton. Based up the road from some Southampton docks, it's a beautiful attraction for all the family.
Okay, so here we are at the Solent Sky Museum based in Southampton.
Opened in 1984, this museum is one of the oldest museums in the UK. It's also home to some unique artefacts and aircraft with a huge history surrounding the aviation in the Solent and Southampton areas.
So come along and let's see what it's all about.
The last time we were here was 1 week before the UK lockdown in 2020. How time flies.
So this is one of my personal favourite aircraft in this museum, the DeHavilland Sea Vixen, and I'm surprised by the size of it. I always say I'm surprised. I don't know why. And we walk past the... Oh, hello mate, how you doing? The Sandringham. You get right up close to see all the mechanics of how things work. It's incredible in here. Of course, as well as the Sea Vixen, there is the Sandringham. There's multiple engines from different aircraft, including, I believe, a Rolls-Royce engine. A couple of cockpits up there, which you can get in. It's best to be supervised by museum volunteers, apparently, but that's mainly for the kids, I think. There is that. Oh, there's a Spitfire in the distance. What's that one again?
No, it was an aeroplane used in a race back in the 1930s. In fact, I think this plane represented Great Britain, built by Supermarine, and it won.
Yeah, well, it's basically the original Spitfire in a way, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, that's kind of what the Spitfire's based off.
This old warbird here is the Supermarine Spitfire Mark 24. Unfortunately, unlike Hendon, you can't get in this one, but still the cockpit is open, so we'll show you a couple of photos in that in a few minutes. Wow, it is incredible. The sheer size of it. You imagine the speed, what, 200 miles an hour, I think. Unbelievable.
The Spitfire was brought here in 1984, along with, of course, an original prototype Spitfire mock-up.
Next to that was a display showing where all the bombs dropped in Southampton and the surrounding areas. It's humbling to see the devastation that was caused.
Fairly new exhibit in the museum as of the last year or so, based on the Blitz. Ooh, he's not looking too well down there. Got a pub setting in the background. Someone's home by the looks of it. There is a cinema in there. Okay. It's very different.
Another new part of the museum is a small cinema which has a selection of 6 short films. We watched a short film about the Home Guard.
After our entertainment, we were escorted out the back, where they are restoring a couple of beautiful vintage trams.
We were told so much of the history of these trams and were even allowed upstairs. It's not often you get to go on something like this these days.
Apparently, the double-decker tram was used as a small playhouse for some children after it was taken out of service. Although when the children grew up, it was just left to rot. So the museum brought it and has been restoring it ever since.
Wow.
No, this is awesome.
It's not every day you get to go up inside of a tram from what I can't remember what year.
No, the 60s they stopped.
So it must have been going from at least the 40s.
Oh, yeah.
Bloody hell. And we're upstairs as well. I mean, they plan to get this on some rails, operate it on batteries, because it used to be like on a cable on top, and
Take it
sort
up
of
for
take it,
special events.
special events. I'm hoping Tyler will be up in a minute, but don't know how he's going to get up them steps.
The second tram they have came from Lisbon. Amazingly, they found it for a bargain of only £500, except the postage was over 4,000.
Typical Royal Mail prices then.
It was bought for spare parts to restore the double-decker, but the measurements were made to fit on a Portuguese local rail, so it couldn't be used. Luckily, they found another one from America that had the same rail size.
Rightio, time for me to get into my Professor Tyler mode. So as you can see here, we have restoration of an office, which is supposed to be designed to look like the design planning area for Supermarine back in the 30s, 40s and 50s. And you can see the guy's meant to be working on one of these, a Supermarine Swift, of which we have one over here, under restoration for display. And those drawings over here are all original Supermarine era drawings, dating back as far as the 1930s. And as you can see, we have a Rolls-Royce Avon jet engine used in some of the most iconic RAF fighters and bombers, as well as the first ever jet passenger airliner, the DeHavilland Comet.
Next up is the short Sandringham, and it's massive.
Let's take a look inside.
So we're now inside of the, was it a short Sandringham?
Short Sandringham, yes.
Fun fact about this aircraft, the museum was built around the aircraft because they stored it here first and then they put the walls up, in essence, wasn't it?
The main exhibit
This
here.
is one of the last planes to fly into the Solent in terms of flying boats.
And another fun fact about this plane in particular, if we bring Mitch the barista Shea around here, he'd have a good time because it's very, very haunted apparently.
After its years flying to Howe Island with Ansett, the aircraft was bought and operated by Charles Blair Jr., who was the husband of the actress Maureen O'Hare. They used the plane for VIP party flights.
A wee history lesson for you young folk out there. This is the only surviving short Sandringham in the United Kingdom. While there's at least a couple of other examples around the world, this is the only one in the UK. The other two flying boats that are preserved in the UK are the military short Sunderland version, which, funny enough, this thing was actually built as a Sunderland before it became a civilian airliner for Ansett in Australia. Its main purpose throughout most of its life as a passenger airliner was to fly young boys off to boarding school onto Howe Island.
The first floor of the museum is dedicated to the Sandringham flights, as well as some World War I aircraft. When you do go upstairs though, you have amazing views of all of the displays.
That plane over there, the silver one with the, how can I describe it, the Botox engine at the front, is a one-off prototype, one of 3 planes ever made. It is an amphibious jet seaplane design. It was designed to replace propeller-driven seaplanes at the height of the jet age, as jet planes were becoming more and more prevalent. Unfortunately, the project failed miserably. In fact, one of the examples you see is currently at the bottom of the Solent, having sunk in a crash. Because as you can imagine, jet engines need to suck in air. They do not appreciate sucking in loads of water. And this is the last surviving example here on display at Solent Sky.
And thus concludes our visit to the Solent Sky Museum in Southampton.
We hope you've enjoyed watching.
Safe travels, my friends.
Alright, here's a bit of bonus footage for you. Just at the end of the road, we have quite this old-fashioned building here. That is Canute Chambers. Canute Chambers was the head office for Southampton for the White Star Line Company. And in April 1912, after the Titanic sank, that office was inundated with people wanting to know whether their loved ones had perished or had been rescued. So yeah, that's the office for the Titanic. And Titanic itself left at Dock 4, which is somewhere over there. So they weren't far away back then.